In this week's video, I wanted to take a little bit of time and talk about the different types of plant pots you can get to start your seeds in, or things that you can use around your house that you might not think of. All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about is just things that you have around your house that you could use. So one of the things that most people know about is your toilet paper roll. Now you could fill this full of dirt and have one pot, or you could cut it in half and have two pots. So my thing about cutting these toilet paper rolls in half is you're gonna have a really small pot. And that's fine to start a seed in, but when you start getting things that are this small, you're gonna have to transplant them into a bigger pot or into your garden quick. And so I would tend to not go with a half of one. If I was gonna do it, I would just use a full one, and that way the roots could grow down and then you would have a deeper root. Another thing that you have around your house usually are tin cans, and when we use a can, it goes into our recycle bucket, but using it as a plant pot is another way of recycling. You just need to poke a couple holes in the bottom. Don't do this in your lap, you'll end up poking a hole in your leg. So just a screwdriver, your hammer. All right, so there you go. Perfectly good pot. It's big enough that your roots can grow, and then you should be able to get this out fairly easy. All right, and then you can even use things like this, a lettuce holder. You could leave your lid on and have a little mini greenhouse. So for these, you're going to poke your holes in it, of course. All right, so you would fill this up with dirt here, not all the way to the top. And then if you are planting things like onions or leeks, you can just sprinkle your seed all in here. It's fine. When you plant onions and leek, they're just this big jumbled mess anyways, and you pretty much shake the dirt off and you pull the roots apart, and then you take that little plant and you just poke it into holes in your garden. If you're starting anything other than that, you're gonna wanna space your seeds. All right, another thing that we all have at our house that hopefully goes to the recycle bin, or you burn it, or if you don't have this kind of stuff at home, you can go to your local recycle center and pick this kind of stuff up for free. So that stuff is magazines, newspapers, or like thrifty nickels, any kind of the newspapery material, or if you get paper bags from your grocery store, you can use the paper bags for this as well. All right, so I'm going to show you how to make some plant pots out of these materials. All right, and so to make the pots, you're going to need one, depending on whether you want to make round pots or square pots. Round pots, you're going to want a jar, glass jar. You could use a tin can as well, out of whatever size that you want your pot to be. So those, and if you want to have a square pot, I'm going to be using this, but you can use anything that's square the size that you want. So you could use this, or you could use a chunk of wood to do it. So this is like a thrifty nickel stopper, but if you had a piece of newspaper, you could just fold that newspaper in half to get this. And take your piece of newspaper, fold it in half, turn it towards you. Now the open part of the jar is going to be the bottom. So you want the top part to stick up about an inch above your paper. And then you're just going to roll nice and tight. Once you get it all rolled up here, if you wanted, you could put a piece of tape on it. You don't have to. Then you're going to take all your excess that's at the bottom of your jar, and you're going to tuck it in here like that. Pull your jar out, tuck it in, and you have a nice little plant pot. Super easy. You don't need tape on the round ones. If you want to do a square one, so you have your newspaper here, you're going to start with your newspaper folded in half. And then on the folded edge here, part that's still connected right here, you're just going to fold it over, just to give the edge of your pot a little more stability, like that. And then you're going to use your choice of your square. I'm going to use a carton here. Turn the paper towards you. This is going to be the bottom of your pot here. So just roll this up tightly. take you a piece of tape. Then you're going to fold this in like this. Pull it out, and you have your pot. The square ones don't hold together as well without the tape. All right, another thing you can use is your paper bags that you get at the grocery store. Now there is a lot of videos on how to make these little plant pots. I've never made them like that. So if you look for how to make a newspaper plant pot, you're gonna come up with these videos where you're taking your piece of paper and you're having to, it's kind of like an origami pot. You're making certain folds on it, you're folding to those lines, and then you're flipping it and tucking in, and ultimately you have a really nice pot, kind of like this one here that took, 15 seconds to make, but it takes much longer. And to get the correct folds on the newspaper pots that you see for the videos, you have to have a certain size paper. So if you're using, a paper bag, or your magazine, or these little sales papers here, they're not the same size of a newspaper, you have to cut them down to a certain size before you can make your folds to make everything line up correctly. This is the easiest way I have found to do this. You can make a lot of these pots really quickly, and the great thing about it is it does not cost you anything. You either have this kind of stuff at your house, or you can just drive down to your recycling center and pick it up. When you start going to the store, just ask for paper instead of plastic, and then you can start just collecting these and make a ton of pots for free. It's very nice. It's easy. Okay. All right, so you can fold that down. Now flip the side to you. Spin it. There you go. Now you're gonna use your thing. So now you gotta flip it the other way. There you go, because this is gonna be the bottom. So you're gonna look here and figure out how big you want your pot. That's how tall it's gonna be. Okay, now you're just gonna roll that up nice and tight. So here, it helps if you do it this way. There you go. Yep, keep on rolling. Okay. So, should you turn it like this? Nope, so. On there. Okay. Perfect. Look at that. You did such a good job. Ready to fill it with dirt now? That one's not a... You don't have to fill it all the way to the top. Alright, so... nice little pot. Alright, so what are some of the other options if you do not have anything at your house that you can use, or you don't want to go to the recycling center? And I get not wanting to go to this recycling center. It can be kind of weird when you are digging through the little dumpster bins with the recycled stuff in it. But once you do it, it becomes easy, and there's lots of great stuff in other people's junk. So the first place I went yesterday was to the Goodwill. The Goodwill is always a great place to look first, because they have different types of pots that people don't want, or baskets, or they usually have something that you can find there that you can use for plants. If you're there at the right time, you can find stuff. So that would be my first place to tell you to go, is the Goodwill. The second place that I went to yesterday was Everything's a Dollar. That could be a place that you could find planting pots, or something that you could use as planting pots. And so some of the things I found there, and I will use these in here to start seeds in. And then the other thing that they had, earth-friendly, the biodegradable pots. There's 12 of them in here, and they are kind of small, but this could be a good way to go. You could get 4 or 5 of these for $5, and you would have, 60 pots. Some of the other things that I found there that you could use are these little bathroom, mouthwash cups. And so these are paper. Once again, they're small. You're gonna have to transplant this within the first month. You're not gonna be able to leave them in this cup until it's time to put them out there in the garden. And then the good old foam coffee cup. And there's 45 of these, and so you could take these, have your plant, you know, let your plant grow for a while, and there's plenty of room in here that you could actually, I mean, you could have a good plant in here. To put these into the garden, you're gonna have to take the styrofoam off. I bought 2 different types of pots to try out this year. I was kind of looking around to see what options were out there. And one of the things that I bought were these little bitty pots, and I did not realize these were so small, but I got these on Amazon, and they were $23 for 100 pots. For slower growing things like the perennial flowers and stuff like that, these would work pretty good for. Now, I would not buy these again because they are so small. I bought these pots here at Walmart. You have your base. This is like the self-watering tray, and then you have your plant parts that fit into this. Now this is a 72 plug tray, and then it comes with, and this is beat up, but it comes with a tray to put on top. So moving this aside here, I'll show you one of the ones that I have planted and what I do like about it and what I do not like about it. So this is one I have planted. One thing I do like about this is it comes with its own little greenhouse. So I mean, you can see all the water on top of this, where this thing is nice and hot in here. And if you have a chipmunk problem like I do, you can snap this thing on and they don't get in here. So it's kept it very wet, which I really like. But the thing I do not like about this is, turn this around here, when you plant all of your plants in here, and these are different types of flowers, some of them germinate quicker than the others. Now when I start my stuff, I start mine on a heat mat. So I put this on the heat mat, these popped up, but nothing else has. The problem with this is, especially for vegetables, I mean, flowers is not a huge thing. I mean, you don't want them to be leggy, but it's not the end of the world. But vegetables, getting a leggy vegetable is like a make it or break it kind of thing. So if you plant this whole thing in tomatoes and a couple of your varieties of tomatoes pop up, but the other ones don't, your only option is to take this off the heat mat, and then the rest of your plants aren't benefiting from the heat to help them with germination. So I like the greenhouse effect. These were $4.78 at Walmart for 72 plants, but I just don't like it because I don't really feel like I have control of the plants. So like when I start all my plants, I put them on the seed mat, on the heat mat, and as they germinate, I take that pot off, move it down to where there's no heat mat at, and start another plant. But I'm kind of at the problem that, you know, I had to take it off the heat mat, and now I'm just kind of hanging out waiting for everything to germinate, when if I could have left these on the heat mat, probably a lot more of these would have germinated. Now, if you're not using a heat mat, this could be a really good way to go, because I mean, it's $4.78 for 72 plants, and you know, you have a little greenhouse as well. You can also find all these plastic ones here. So all these plastic ones here in different sizes and different shapes, you can find these at the recycling center. You're just gonna have to go, you can call and ask them, or you're gonna have to go and look through their barrels of stuff. All right, so that's gonna wrap it up for this week's video. I hope you found it helpful. If you have favorite pots that you like, let me know in the comments below, or if you know where people can find some great deals on some pots, let me know that as well. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because I have a lot more videos coming up this summer that you're not gonna wanna miss. And also, don't forget to head on over to Instagram and follow me over there at Life Like Lizzie. I show a lot of things behind the scenes that are not shown on these videos that you might not wanna miss. So with that, I will see you next time.